Animal testing has been a source of controversy for a long time now. I often see animal lovers on Facebook or other social media advocating the boycott of products tested on animals, including companies like Banana Boat, CoverGirl, Crest, L'Oreal, and Maybelline. I recently came across a video attached to one of these petitions. It was a live demonstration of a woman being experimented on as if she were a rat in a lab. It was part of a Lush Cosmetics campaign to end animal testing, and as a cruelty-free company, it was probably an effort to help improve their street credentials as well. Looking at the comments on the video, it seemed to be pretty hard-hitting emotionally, and a lot of people in the comments tended to agree with the anti-animal testing stance that Lush had taken. However, a recent Gallup poll showed that 63% of Americans consider testing on animals morally acceptable, and only 33% thought it was unacceptable. I researched the implications of both views in order to answer the question, to what extent are the ethical implications of testing on animals outweighed by the scientific benefits? Looking at the Lush demonstration that depicts what the animals go through, it's clear that they have to undergo some pretty harsh treatment. The demonstration allowed people to perceive the issue in a different way, as they saw what it would be like to be the animal. It appealed to people's emotions and made them far more sympathetic to the cause. So, on the surface, subjecting animals to painful and deadly tests seems ethically wrong, seeing as it's pretty widely accepted that hurting or killing any creature is wrong. However, it is much more complicated than that. Because the animal testing is used for the benefit of humans, many people embrace the philosophy that the good intentions and positive end results outweigh the negative effects on the animals. Protest is an example of a major organization that advocates animal testing, claiming that they are standing up for science and human progress. This argument has merit as well. Running medical tests on rodents allows scientists to determine if a medicine is effective in a much more efficient and faster way. Furthermore, it ensures that medicines are safe before a human ever tries it. According to the Foundation for Biomedical Research, vaccines for polio, mumps, rubella, and hepatitis were all developed with the help of animal research. Several advancements in treating other major diseases have been made as well. So, scientifically as well as ethically, animal testing has some definite positive aspects. However, these claims are made on the presumption that human lives are more important than animal ones. But are they really? The purely biological view would tell us no, that we are all made up of the same cells and are all creatures sharing the same earth, and we don't have the authority to say we have any more value than anyone else. This is the belief of some religions as well, like Buddhism, which advocates equal treatment of human and animals. However, most people tend to hold to the belief that people are more important. If there were a person and a dog in a burning building, and only one could be saved, anyone in their right mind would opt to save the person. Whether or not this mindset is logical, as humans we have an emotional connection to one another, and it is in our nature to believe that we as a species are important. The fact that history as an area of knowledge even exists is an example of that. We care about our species enough to document what happens to us. Additionally, we are certainly the most intelligent and civilized species, which could also translate to us being considered the most valuable, depending on different beliefs. Yet, even if we stick to the premise that humans and their lives are most important, the issue of animal value arises. The majority of people would say they are against animal cruelty, but probably don't care too much about exterminating rats and don't think twice about stepping on a spider. Yet, incidents like Edison's electrocution of an elephant are widely denounced as horrible and cruel. There seems to be a hierarchy of sorts of animals and how much value humans give to them. So, what makes us have these different ideas on the value of life of different species? Admittedly, many of these judgments are based on reasonable premises. Some species just have more biological importance in the animal system than others. The death of one whale would have a greater effect on the balance of the food chain than the death of a plankton, so it makes sense the life of a whale would be more important. Likewise, we place more value on the life of an endangered species than one that is not. However, emotion probably has the biggest impact on our different perceptions of species. Rodents and bugs are considered pests to us, and since they are constantly an annoyance, we don't care as much about killing them. Yet animals that we admire, find beautiful, or develop a social attachment to, we tend to be enraged at the idea of exposing them to cruelty. For instance, Americans find it appalling when Koreans eat dog, even though it's not far off from our diet of cows, pigs, and chickens. We have developed emotional attachments to dogs since we keep them as pets. Ultimately, a great deal of this hierarchy in the value of animals stems from their intelligence, because we consider it more humane to subject creatures to experimentation if they can't fully understand what is happening to them. However, there is always the counter-argument that we can't know for sure how an animal thinks or feels purely from psychology, since we are lacking real evidence of their perception. Also, whether you are a primate with complex social and cognitive skills, or a mouse with a brain the size of a peanut, pain is pain, and you are going to feel it. The Animal Care Act of 1966 brought this concept of different animals having different value when it set minimum standards for care in research and exhibition settings, but it didn't apply to mice, rats, birds, or cold-blooded animals. The law has since been revised to give more protections to more animals, but the fact remains that we consider a life's value depending on who or what it belongs to. As a result, 19.5 million animals die every year in research laboratories, and 87.5% of those are rats or mice. So we arrive back at the question, to what extent are the ethical implications of animal testing outweighed by the scientific benefits? I think in order to answer the question most effectively, we need to consider the issue case by case. For one, using animals in testing for cosmetic industries is not justified ethically, since it results in no scientific benefits whatsoever. Perhaps it might help a company come up with a better mascara or nail polish, but that is simply not worth the torture and death of thousands of mice. According to Lush Cosmetics' anti-cruelty website, there are adequate alternatives to animal testing, which include growing artificial human eyes or skin. They even claim it results in more accurate results than actual animals. In this way, there's no real reason why cosmetics companies should do animal tests. As for pure scientific research, the answer is much less straightforward. Animals are often used in biological tests for the simple goal of research and learning more about the way a creature and their mind and body work. For instance, the classic rat in a maze experiment puts the rat through a bit of frustration in order for a scientist to observe its intelligence. Now, this is rather harmless, but think about how many frogs and pig fetuses die in order to be dissected by kids in their science classrooms. It's important to us to challenge ourselves and be infinitely curious, but it's also best if we do so with minimal offense to animals and be as humane as possible in the way we obtain animal specimens and run tests on them. And finally, medical testing. When people get sick, we need to do something about it, and for that reason I think that when it is done in order to save lives, it's acceptable to sacrifice mice and rats in the name of research. Although there might be alternatives, frankly, animal testing is often the cheapest and quickest way to figure stuff out. Even though medical testing can be much crueler than other types, like when they give mice cancer in order to test a cure, the necessity is much greater in this case. And maybe, if we are looking at the world and all of nature as a whole, it is wrong to value one creature over another. But the fact is, when a person gets sick, even the most adamant animal rights activist won't care where their treatment comes from, they just want to get better. Ultimately, the ethics of animal testing all lie in the intentions. Why the tests are being done, how they are being done, and if there are any feasible alternatives. It's a complicated issue, however, and I think it's naive of anyone to say that it's always right or wrong in every case. It is a constant struggle to meet ethical standards, as issues are always changing as different situations arise, and we need to analyze them individually in order to do what's right.